Welcome to League Queens.
I'm Coach Jane Foreman from Team Foreman Tennis and the Team Foreman Experience.
And I'm Kim Wanowich from Rallies and Rackets and lifelong league player myself.
Together, we bring you the coach and player perspective on everything from strategy and court drama
to the mental game, the wins, the losses, and all the laughs in between.
This is League Queens.
Let's play. All right. Hi, Jane. How you doing today?
Kim, I am doing awesome. How are you?
I am great. It's about to be March Madness. For those that, sometimes we record this and people don't listen to it for a while later. So you can know when we recorded this, March Madness was starting.
Every
go.
day is the same for me.
You don't know what day it is.
Every day is the same.
Just got off the court. That's what day it is for you. You just got off the court.
But March Madness is big for North Carolina.
It's so big.
It's always a big thing for UNC and Duke, and you guys got
it's a big
basketball
thing.
mania.
Yeah, it's a big thing in our house because we're Carolina fans and we don't like those Dukies. So anyway, there's that. So guys, we're so excited about what we're going to talk about today. So for our last episode, if you guys missed it, you're going to want to go back. We talked about super tiebreakers and Jane gave some amazing tips, and a lot of it was surrounded with changing up what you're doing, which leads to having the tool in your pocket of different formations. So when we finished our last episode, we realized what we really want to talk about is then what are those formations and how do we get better at doing those formations? How do we get better at knowing when to do which formation? So today's episode is all about building that tool in your pocket of having different formations. So the first thing I think we want to talk about today is, Jane, define for us and explain what even are the options when you talk about formations. We know some are Australian, I formations, signals, but give us a definition. What are the formations?
So
Start with that.
I use the term progressive formatting all the time. And I love progressive formatting because I think it takes you up a level in aggressive play, and it keeps creativity on the court, and it has the element of surprise. And besides that, it's just so much fun. Keeps you in tune with your partner. It keeps you in sync with your partner.
Yeah.
It's like it pre-planned plays, all that sort of stuff. It's like a playbook, and it's a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
and you can
It makes
get
you
better
feel
and
like a
better.
badass when you actually do it.
Oh yeah, of course. And I'm just gonna just say it right now. Every level can do it. Every level of play can do it. It's all how you perform it, and is relative to your level, but every level can do it. Let me define progressive formatting. It's out of the ordinary. Any type of format on the court is out of the ordinary. So your traditional formatting is you start with one player up at net, one player serving, one player on the service line, and one player receiving. So that's your traditional looking doubles play. And that's like your everyday occurrence that you see. And that's what you mostly do in every match. So to take it into a progressive formatting, you have several things that you can do. You can do Australian, which is when you're playing on starting the serving side actually on the same side as your server. You have I formation when you actually have the net player straddling the service line, staying in the middle of the court and staying in line with the server in the same eye, like Cyclops, same eyes. That's why they call it I formation. You could serve and volley instead of just serving and staying back. That's progressive. That's a progressive tactic, but I would call that gets you into a progressive format right away when you serve and come into net. Now you're both at net. So that's progressive. So there's lots of different formats like that on the court that you can get yourself into that's not only going to maybe make you creative and proactive, but it's going to really give an element of surprise to your receiving team.
Right. Okay, I love it. So help us. I think the first place that is confusing that you can help us with is In what scenario do you do the different ones? It's particularly I formation versus Australian. Which
Okay.
when are you
I
doing
I
which
I
one?
failed I failed to mention too that which is a tactic, a formation when anything progressive that you do on the court, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to start out in that formation. It's how maybe how you end up in a formation. For instance, I talked about Australian I formation. I talked about serve and volley. Poaching is a big deal. Poaching is very progressive. It may be a tactic, but you end up in a different formation than what you start. So
Yeah.
that's why I lump it into a progressive formation. So to answer your question, which is a great question, and it's probably the number one question I get about Australian and I formation. Let's take Australian because I think that that's the easiest formation
Yeah.
to grasp. You simply go into the same sides. So for instance, if you're serving to the deuce side, I want the server to start serving from the middle of the court like they're serving in singles rather than
Mhm.
doubles.
Right.
And I want your partner to play net just on the same side as you, as though they're playing net serving to the ad side. So they're on the exact same side of the court. So what you're doing is you are forcing the play to go down the line. So the down the line return to serve is open as opposed to the cross court return to serve open. So why would you do this? There's two really important reasons why you would play Australian. The number one is if your opponents are hitting some phenomenal returns, if they're hitting maybe low angled returns, if they're mowing you over with really hard deep returns, if they're just really comfortable in hurting you hitting a cross court return, you can take that shot away from them immediately. You can take that shot away from them by simply placing your net player on the same side as you so that if they did go cross court, they're hitting to the net person.
Right. Even if it's hard, you're right there at the net. Get
They're
it.
at the net. So they don't want to go hit to the net person. So it forces them to change their return to serve. Now you're forcing them to adjust right off the bat. And I love that word adjust because that's what you should be doing in and to stay proactive in your match play. So you're now going to force the return down the line. That's one way. The second way is let's say you're a predominant ad side player. And so you're now serving to the deuce side. Traditionally, if you're serving to the deuce side, the ball's coming back cross court and you're now playing the deuce
The
side.
deuce side.
So you can automatically change that and you can put yourself and your partner on the sides that you like to play by just playing Australian.
Mm,
So listen,
interesting.
because look at you're serving and your partner's on the same side. And if you're serving to the
They
deuce
gotta
side, they just simply slide over and now they're on the ad side. The rally may go down the line or the play may go down the line, but you're playing on your strength.
right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay.
So those are the two main reasons to play Australian
I think Australian is the easiest of the things to do. Would you say that?
by far,
Yeah,
by far. So like when I'm teaching some progressive formatting to lower levels, this is the first thing I teach them
that's right.
because it's
Okay.
really simple. It's really simple to see. It's simple to adjust and it's easy to perform.
It's easier to know when to do it. I have to say, of all the progressive formatting, Australian is the most common that I'm willing to do. So I figure there has to be a reason I'm willing to do it. It has to be the easier of the ones that I'm willing to do. Yeah.
By far. So I formation is definitely more progressive
Hmm.
and a little bit tougher because you've got to start now in the very middle of the court, straddling that line, close to the net, nips to the net,
Right.
Cam, nips to the net. And
Okay. So
you've
wait,
got
that's another thing. Hang on, back up.
okay.
Australian, you're not nips to the net, right?
Well,
Or
you're
are you?
Australia you are because you are standing as close as you normally
So you're
stand to the
still
net.
close to the net, just on the side, not the middle.
Yes. Yep.
Both you're close to the net. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the most aggressive position on the court.
Right. Because if they rip it at you, You
You
wanna be
wanna be
right there.
close. You wanna be close. You don't want that ball to be low to you, and you don't want
Yeah,
that
okay.
ball to pass you. You still wanna volley. Even if the ball goes up the middle and you're playing Australian, I want you to go get that ball.
Yeah, so guys, both are close to the net. That's a good distinction because I wonder that sometimes too. Where am I standing in the right place on I know I'm on the right side of the court, but am I in the right place?
Yeah,
Yep, okay.
play as though you're playing the net, as though your partner's serving to the ad side.
Right.
If you're doing it to the do side, do it. By the way, do it on both sides if it warrants doing it to both sides.
Yeah. A lot
It
of
does,
times
yeah,
they have an angle return and it's usually just the one person. So you're usually doing it on the one side to prevent that
yeah.
person, but you could but right, you could do it on.
I mean, if you want to put yourself on the if you're the server and you want to put yourself on the do side, then you play Australian on the ad
Yeah.
side.
Right. If you're doing it for the reason of honing in on your strengths and getting your
Correct.
shot that you like. Yeah, I like that.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. Back to I just wanted to clarify
No,
where we're
no problem.
standing.
That's
You know,
great.
you guys have to have a lot of visualization for our podcast because you're listening to us unless you go to YouTube, but don't worry, we don't have any graphics out here. So even if you're watching us, you do have to think for a minute when you're listening to us to picture where we're saying on the court.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with re-listening to these episodes
Yeah.
because I have a lot of just a funny story. I teach a person that had come down for an experience and actually do some online stuff. She was playing in her first, bigger match, and she was texted me. I'm so excited. She did pretty well. She lost in a super tiebreaker. So I said, and she's told me, I said, "Are you listening to the podcast?" And she said, Jane, I listen to not just listen to the podcast. I have listened. She goes, I've got to be your biggest download. She said, I listened to them at least 10 times each.
Gosh, I love her.
And I said, okay. So then I said, did you do the tactics I told you to do in the super tiebreaker? She said, no, I was a little bit apprehensive. And I was like, but we'll get there.
We'll get
Anyway,
there. All of us, we listen and
yeah.
yeah, and it's hard
So
to do.
to go back to the I formation. So the I formation is more progressive. You're going to straddle that line, get down really low. And so you got to get down low and you got to get back up
You gotta get
eventually.
back up.
So the hard part about this is the timing. And we're going to talk about signals because you're going to have to signal your
That's
server.
right.
You're going to have to let your server know, and I'm going to talk about this on both situations, but you're going to have to let your server know which
What
direction
are you
you want to.
doing? Right. Australian, you're there. Don't have
Right.
to come up with something. But I
Right.
formation,
You're going to have to
decisions to be made. You gotta
you have
make the
to
decision. What are you doing?
you got to pop up like the jack in the box.
Yeah.
And once you've given your signal, and we're going to talk about that, then you pop up at the timing, and the timing is difficult because we generally as players leave too soon because you're afraid you're going to go too late.
That's right.
So if you've given one direction, you have to wait for the ball, the serve to bounce. Bounce. So right after the bounce, you're ready to hit the return. That's when you want to burst into the position that you told your server
That's
that
what you
you're
said
going
you were
into.
gonna do. Yeah.
So
So
that
would you
you know,
say pop up when the ball clears the net, because now it's past you, and then move, or you're saying all at the same time? Don't do anything until the ball hits?
do not you stay down low.
Don't do a thing until.
Do not move until the ball bounces.
Okay.
You're going to jolt them. They're going to see you. They're going to take their eye off the ball. You're going to cause an error a lot of times. You're going to commit to
Yep.
what side you want to go to and trust it because your partner knows where you're going and she's going the other way.
Yeah. I think also what you just said is something people forget. We're over here afraid, and we're going to talk about this in a minute why we don't do it. So I'm not going to say too much. But I will say, we're over here afraid we're not going to get it. And we're forgetting what you just said, which is you're an entire distraction now. And you don't realize you're going to make them make a mistake before but you're so worried about that you're not going to do it right.
Is huge. The chaos that I call it chaos
Chaos.
that you are causing. Okay. Chaos that you are causing. And you're going to cause so many unforced errors on your
Yeah.
opponent's side that that half the time you're not even gonna have to make a winner
Yeah.
off the shot.
Right, so stop worrying about whether you move over and you get that volley net person. Realize they're gonna make a mistake a lot of times before you have to even do that.
Right. So,
Yeah.
Australia and so what let's so you got the idea of how to do it. When do you do that? Or
Yeah, when do you do each?
what
That's
when
right.
do you do each? I think you need the right people in the right place, okay? I think that you need a person that is pretty quick up at net, that doesn't have a problem with getting down low. That's not that easy,
Yeah, you
by the
gotta have
way.
the physicality of the
Yes.
popping up and going. If
Yes,
your
and
knees aren't great, this is not it's
probably
not
not the
the
right
s
situation for you. But if you are very active up at net, if you
yes.
like to if you are a an aggressive poacher in
Yeah.
nature, if your partner has a good serve, if you these are all good breeding
Partner
grounds
having a
for
good serve is really helpful in this
yeah.
situation.
And
Yeah.
these are all like a nice little breeding ground to do this. So not everybody has to do it, but if you're mobile, if you're fast, if you're quick, if you
Yeah.
like to poach, I think that's a great time. And if you want to really do something a little bit more progressive and you think you can handle it, which I think a lot of people can, you just got to trust it, then give it a whirl. Let's go.
Yeah, I think you just made a really important distinction just in the physicality of it, forgetting like Australian, you're standing there, you can do it, you can volley, you don't have to rush to anything, and you certainly don't have to be down low popping up. So
Right.
there is a physicality that
Yeah.
determines if you want to try both of those.
And there's
That's a good
different
distinction.
ways. There's different ways, and people can message me if they want to, if they need a little bit more definition, because I can't show you on a podcast of
Yeah.
how to get down low, but I do on my, on my videos. But there's different ways you can do it where it won't hurt you, and people kind of crouch down low and all that good stuff that maybe you can burst out a little bit quicker. So if you want to really give the element of surprise, and it's much more progressive because the return of servers now have no idea where you're
You don't know
going.
what you're gonna do, right, and now they're
So
thinking about
right,
that, and then you move, and now you're, like, in there, and then
right.
they just hit it,
So it's a
especially if you're
level up.
especially if your partner has a great serve, their serve is already harder to return, then you really are, this
Yeah.
is really such a good if it's a
I
bad
think it
serve, you don't
yeah.
you're it's a lot harder because also you don't have as much time because if it's a slow, wonky serve and they're getting ready to just rip it,
Yeah.
that's a little
I
bit
mean,
harder. That's a bad
everything
idea.
everything is situational, and also, it's really important to understand that the server on both the Australian and the I formation, it's really important to serve down the middle or into the body.
Okay, I was just about to ask you that. Do you have to determine where you're going to
I mean, there's
serve?
a lot of players. I think upper level players really like to they like to give signals not only of which way they're going, but I think that, you know, for the basics, okay? For the everyday basics and learning how to do this and just getting your feet wet with it. Stick
Stick to the
fundamentally
wide.
to 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 serving either into the body if you can or up the middle, up the tee, because anytime you hit the ball up the middle of the court, whether it's a serve or a shot, it breeds a shot up the middle. And that's what you're looking for. So unless somebody's like backhand return is so bad that you want to serve it to their backhand, then you maybe can just know that you're going to do that. But other than that, the fundamentals of it is serving down the middle.
Okay, so if you are, I want to say a newer player, but that's not even really fair to say because there's 3, 5, and 4s that don't have direction on their serve. So if you don't have the direction on your serve, does that take you out of this? If your partner can't say, "Listen, I can't promise you I can hit the middle," do you not do it?
No, no, I don't. I wouldn't strangle yourself into not doing things like fun things like this because maybe your serve isn't that accurate. No, I would say you're just going to try. If it doesn't go, then
Try it.
you still do it, and it may work, and
Yeah,
and it may not, and then you'll see what works and what doesn't work. But never,
but don't
never
not do it.
these fun formations and tactics because maybe your fundamentals of your hits or your strokes aren't perfected yet.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer of that, huge believer, and I get really I almost get I get annoyed and I almost, that coaches come on to Instagram on my page and saying how they shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, you know what? If we waited
Yeah.
until every single stroke was perfect before you start playing, then no one would
No
play.
one's gonna do any of it. Yeah, yeah. I
No
know.
one's going to play and no one's going to do any of that. So forget
I
that.
see those criticizers on your page. They're like,
Yeah, no, I like, yeah, forget that. Oh,
why aren't you their
they got the wrong
forehand is
grip. I'm
terrible. Why
like,
don't you teach them their forehand? Yeah, or their
yeah.
grip. And you're like, that's not what this is about. Anyway, I see those all
And
the time.
I'm like, go make your own video.
Yeah, get away from mine.
Yeah,
Okay, so I think that's
stop
really, really
doing that.
important, guys. The goal is your service down the middle, but if you don't have that direction yet, try it anyway. Go for it anyway.
Yeah.
Do it
Um,
anyway.
Really
Okay.
important to talk about before because I'm gonna ask you a couple questions because I know that you are right in the thick of things. You are like right at the level of a lot of the women that I teach, but we need to have a conversation about signals. But before we do that, I want to ask you as a recreational avid player
Play all the time.
all the time, tennis whore, you
Total tennis whore.
do you do these formations? Do you do these things in your matches when you play your league matches?
I do all of them, and it's so easy.
You do all of them?
No, I'm such a liar. Yeah. No, I don't do all of these. I'm kidding you. I would say what I do most, I definitely do Australian. I find in ladies league there's so many players that have tricky little angled return, especially on the deuce side. And so I definitely do Australian a lot to cut off that angle, and it works. Even if it doesn't make them mess up, you take that shot away and then you give your partner just an ad return. I was just at sectionals. We had someone doing that. We did Australian. It worked so well. I do not do a lot of I formation. And I think my biggest holdback is not being sure when the best time to do it is. And I don't even know why I'm waiting for like, oh, it should be at this time. It should just be when I'm changing something up. But I really don't do I formation. And I do a little bit of signals, but I really, really want to do signals more because I do like playing the net. And I think I would be even better at it if I committed to signals
To
because then I'd know I'm going instead of being like, should I go? And then you don't, and the worst is when you're like, "I coulda had that, but I
so
didn't."
let me help you a little bit here because you are amongst the masses. You are amongst the masses. I'm gonna tell you that as many years as I've been teaching and as many women just like you, I'm looking at you as you are my student and you are the everyday player that I've been teaching for years, and they won't use signals. And I see very little of all this stuff that I try to teach
I
them.
th When
We'll
we get in a
practice it.
match, we don't wanna mess it up. I mean, I have to say, like, I'm saying what I do, but let me think about it. When I'm in a match, could I say after the end of the week, how many matches did I just play where they did it? So minimal. It's so
Yeah.
minimal. So I'm saying what I
Well,
do, but I am speaking for everyone because I'm playing all week long and it's people poach. Yes, people are
yes.
great net players. People poach. Yes, but planned poaches and these progressive formations, I see such a small amount of it.
Yeah. So
We're
the
afraid to mess
progressive
it up.
what
We're
makes
afraid to
it
mess it
like
up.
poaching poaching and what makes things progressive is pre-planning it.
It's the planning of it. That's right.
Is the planning of it. That's what makes these tactics, they're all tactics, but that's
Yeah.
what makes them more progressive is the planning of it. And the signal
Yeah.
is the planning of it. And it is so let me just touch upon this for a couple minutes. It is so empowering to have you and your partner know exactly what's happening on the court.
Yeah.
It makes you faster. It makes you one step up of your return to servers. And
Because you
it
know you're
is
going, so you're ready to
whatever it
go.
is, you know what you're doing. You're
Yeah,
in
you know what you're
sync.
doing.
In women's recreational doubles, the receiving side is the more aggressive side. That's the side that's going to take control first. And this is a way that you on your serving side can take some of that control back by doing things like this and at the most crucial times. you're gonna miss playing traditionally. So what's the big deal if you're missing trying to do something a little bit
Right? What
out of your comfort zone? So
100%. Not
that's
thinking like that.
but the big thing is also is what you're not realizing or, because you're only thinking about yourselves at this moment. If you start doing this and start using signals, you have no idea the impact that has on your receiving team and
Yeah.
what is going through their heads. They have no idea what you're doing. Now you're taking their head out of the game. And even if you just give the fist and you don't do
Yeah.
anything, they don't know what you're doing. Now you have taken a level of comfort away from them. And because they're like, what do we do? Do we have to lob? Do we got to do this? Now
Yeah.
you're putting a sense of urgency on their side. People who don't use signals and who don't use these progressive formattings, they got to practice it a little bit. Are leaving a lot out
Yeah.
off the court. They're not bringing everything to the table. They're not bringing everything to the game.
Yeah, 100%. I made a video this week about because you and I have been talking about this, and after we talked about tiebreakers and wanting to change it up and doing progressive formatting, I made a video about one of the biggest mistakes we're making is not doing this and to be practicing it in our clinics so that we are more comfortable doing it. And a lady made a comment that I 100% feel her and agree, and I think that so does everyone else. And she said, I'm intimidated. I'm still nervous to do I'm practicing it, but I'm still nervous to do it in a match because if I mess it up, I'll just feel ridiculous. And I know that probably to you does sound ridiculous, but I do think that is the big thing that holds us back. We're like, we're going to be a big shot and go try the fancy formatting and then we're going to hit it in the net and you just don't want to do that to your partner, but then you don't want to be like, oh, you're fancy, you can do those and then you blew it.
Yeah,
So now
I
you're
see.
like, if you do it, you want to do it well and you're afraid you're not going to do it well, so you're like, I'm just not going to do it.
I
Guys,
see what you're
that
saying
is
because
us.
but that's a lack of confidence. And the only way you can, we already talked in one of our episodes a lot about confidence and how to get it. You've got to start implementing it. So I'm gonna make a suggestion. Okay. Come up with your set of signals. And I always do, I do a fist for a fake poach. I do one for poaching. I do two for Australian and I do three for I formation. That's about as simple as it gets. And I do it in such a fun way. Actually, I can't even take credit. One of my players pointed this out and then I started running with it. And I love teaching this. I always set up when you start using your signals, and we're just going to talk about the Australian and the I formation, set up to do your signals in your traditional format. You're like you're just playing, like you're just doing a normal point. Give the signal number two, which is Australian, let's say, and then your server always has to acknowledge that they've received the signal. Got it. And then go into the quick format after that. So she slides over to the Australian, server slides over to the server. So you're doing it right before your opponents have time to process.
Interesting.
So I call it like a quick Australian.
Yeah.
So they don't know what's coming because if you go to each other and start talking to each other and then go, do you want to do Australian? Do you want to do this? You're losing your rhythm of your game and you're stopping going, stopping going. If you use signals, you're going to keep a nice pace of the game. And then even this little quick little fun thing is so much fun to do. And you're gonna catch your opponents off guard.
Yeah. All right. Okay, listeners, I'm in this with you. We're going to try. Here's my challenge. We're going to do what do you think the number should be? At least twice in our next match is starting with two different formations in our next match. Maybe it's one hand signal and one Australian or one planned, what do you think two? If we don't do it, two different progressive shots at
Yeah,
it.
I mean, start with baby steps if you really
Let's just
don't
do it
want to do it.
twice. And I bet
Yes.
we're at the least a 1-for-1. And that's a
And
great start.
let me give you a quick way to practice this too, okay? You don't have to do it the whole game, the whole match. Why
Yeah.
don't you practice doing it, start doing it like look at your partner and say, "Hey, let's do signals for just this one game,
Yeah, we
just
can
one
do
game."
that.
You could do that, and then all of a sudden you're gonna do it. Maybe you'll do it 2 games a set, 2 games, but stick to it. Say, "We're gonna do it the whole game, whether we win the game or not," and commit to that, and then I think you can build on that.
Yeah, I agree. We're gonna do it. Again, I know you can do Australian when you're cutting out that short angle. That one is 100% try that, because that is definitely of the easier things to at least start with. So do that,
To
and a
Australian
pre-planned
and
poach.
practice, yeah, pre-planned poach is so easy.
Australian and a pre-planned poach. We can start with that. That's my personal goal, is to do more hand signals in the pre-planned poaching, because good net player would be better if I planned it instead of relying on waiting on what I think is that great shot. There can be so much more net play with the planning. So that's going to be
Oh, yeah,
my personal goal from our podcast.
and you know that more net play equals control, you're hitting down on your opponents.
100%. And here's a question I ask everyone too. Think about when someone has done this to you, what it feels like. Aren't you instantly at least a little intimidated? You're like, gosh, they know how to do that. You're instantly giving them some street cred, like, oh, these are good players. You're forgetting
Also,
they're going to do that to you when you're the one who does it. You're instantly, whether you make a mistake or not, they're going
it's
to do that, because I
you
know
gotta
that's how I feel.
you get jolted. There's gonna be
Yeah.
a level of joltness, and that's good. You gotta jolt them out of their
Yeah.
rhythm. That's why that's why it is so freaking important to do these types of things as you can get better and better at the most crucial times in a match. In your
Yeah.
super tiebreakers,
Super tiebreakers.
at 5-4, and at 30-15. Don't just do it when you're up 4-1, and don't just do it when you're up 40 love. Do it when you can jolt them, and that's going to give you more confidence.
Yeah.
Also, just a quick tip about progressive formatting and doing it. I would not recommend doing a format, whether it's poaching, Australian, I formation, serve and volley. I would not recommend it doing it more than twice in a row.
Yeah, because then what? They get used to it.
They get used to it.
And
Or
they're
they're
like, I
gonna
got your
expect it,
number
yeah.
on this.
Stay
Yeah.
ahead of them mentally, proactively. Do maybe poach, maybe the next one, fake poach. Maybe do,
Love a fake poach. You're not really doing anything and they don't know it. That's
love
the
a fake
best
poach.
one.
Let me tell you something. That to me,
It's
it's
the
one of
best one.
my most favorite progressive tactics. And I think you should be doing that all the time.
Why
That
don't we
shouldn't
do
even
that all the time? You're not really doing anything.
I tell them to do it, but they don't move. I'm telling them and then they do it with a signal and they think I'm like, that's what you should be doing all the time.
So you do the signal and then you got to fake like you're going to go, but then you
Yeah.
come back.
I'm like, Lord have mercy. That's just normal tennis.
Yeah, the movement is what you're supposed to be doing anyway. So just add a hand signal to go with your movement. Yeah.
Exactly.
Guys, okay, at the very least, we got to try a fake poach and Australian in our next matches. So we want to hear it, because y'all have been really good about sending us DMs when you've had successes from our podcast. So we really want to hear this. Did you go out in your match? Did you give it a shot twice?
And I want to know when they're doing it.
When did you do it? And I want to know, here's another thing. I want you to keep track. How many times did you do it and win the point from whatever you did on your side? How many times did you do it and they simply lost the point because you got them frazzled?
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
good to know too. Like, you might not even have to do anything.
And the success is you doing something and causing an error. That's an equal success to me as you
Yeah, that's
actually
what I'm saying. If you
Yeah.
cause an error, I want you to keep track of that too. So you realize, how many times did you do this and you caused an error and you didn't even have to do anything to win the point.
Yep.
We're not giving this whole situation enough credit at all. We're just taking the credit away from our own ability to do it. And so we're not doing it, and we're not giving enough credit to A, that we can do it, and B, we're going to cause some errors with our movement and
Yeah,
and the whole
and
thing.
don't be this is part of fearless tennis. Okay? And this is part of building your self-confidence. grow some big, dirty, hairy balls and
Grow
get
some
out there
balls.
and try these things because it is so much fun. That's what makes this a fun game. You can do so many different
Yeah.
things and it's empowering.
Yeah, I love that. It's so empowering. It's really up leveling our game, and it doesn't mean you have to be up leveling all these skills, like, gotta wait till you're 4.0 to do it. No. You can up
No,
level your game
let's do it.
at the level. I love it. Okay, did that cover everything that you wanted to say about this? I think we
Uh,
did.
yeah,
What's
I mean,
left?
pretty much,
Last tips?
yeah, I mean, I want maybe a couple little, you can do a pre-planned poach off of the return of serve. And if you follow my page, which most of our listeners do, that's a quick signal to the net person on a return of serve side is poaching off of their return. That's empowering. Same thing on
Yes.
the bounce and going. That's pre-planned. Also
On
another
the bounce. That's an
on the
important
bounce.
part. We go too soon, and then we say we put our turn signal on and let
Right,
them know that we were leaving, and we gave them the whole court. So, on the bounce, that's important
right.
to know.
Progressive formatting also can mean two back on a return of serve. So that's because that's something different. It's something out of your tradition. Start two back. Same thing
Yeah.
on the serve.
And then
Something you sometimes
somebody work your way in. Don't
right.
stay too back, right?
Yep. And progressive tactics pre-planned are on the receiving side are I'm gonna lob this return and I'm gonna come in. And when I tell my players to do that, okay, I tell them I want both starting back because if you hit a crappy lob, I want you to be able to defend it.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
anytime you pre-plan a lob on the return of
Both
serve,
come back.
both come back. And then when the lob goes over your head, both have to come in for the rest of your life. You know that. That's a
At
pre-planned
least, like,
progress.
to mid-court,
What's that?
right? If you're
Yeah,
both
yeah.
coming
Well,
in on the,
yes,
like, mid, not rushing
yes.
in, but, like,
Yeah,
to mid.
because you're gonna get a lob
You're
back
gonna
for
lob
sure.
back, and then you're gonna take it out mid-court.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and lastly, on the return of serve, I love this tactic, and it's a progressive tactic, and it's pre-planned. And if you get a second serve, you're telling your partner, "I'm taking a second serve, and I'm going to blast it down the line and at the net person." And I always say that tactic, it's a progressive tactic, should be done in the very beginning of matches, setting the tone of the
Yeah.
game.
Watch out.
But but when you do that, start your partner back.
Mm.
Because if you don't get a hold of it, or if they volley it, happened today at clinic today with a group that was in, and they were practicing it, but they did not tell their partner to go back. She just like reflexes a volley, that becomes a winner. So you have to, if it's pre-planned, then you have to be able to defend. You have to think of the worst.
Yeah. I
That's
love
all. I
that.
mean, it's no big deal. So you have a few things on the receiving side as well. So lots of stuff. I'll just real quickly. You got serve and volley. You've got poaching. You've got Australian. You have I formation. You have on the receiving side a pre-planned poach off the return of serve. You've got a lob over the net person pre-planned, and you have an implosion at the net person on a second serve. Those are all progressive formatting and tactics.
Really good stuff. The good idea is, well, you guys should have a League Queens notebook where you can write this stuff down, because if you have a list at your match, you don't have to memorize it and think in your head. Jane said if we've lost 2 points in a row, or if we're in a tiebreaker, or we're losing this game, to change it up. And then you're like, change it up to what? Like our mind goes blank. We're in the middle of the match. Like, change it up to what? Make a list, guys.
So yeah, I made a post like you made a post about progressive. I made a post. I think it was last night, maybe 2 nights ago. But I mean, people are going to be listening to this all the time, but they can see it on my page. I made a post about just what you discussed. If you make two errors, make a change. That's if you're losing, and on the flip side, if you're winning. So that if you're up 40-15 or up 30 love, so that you don't have the let up, the dreaded let up,
Yep.
then and you don't lose games that you're up 40 love. I always say make a change. It keeps the sense of urgency in your game. And a lot of coaches say, don't change anything, you're winning. And I
Yeah.
disagree. That's how you lose second sets. And that's how
Yeah.
you lose. That's how you win a set and you go down 4-1 in the second set. You got to keep changing. You have to keep adjusting. And with all these progressive tools, you now can adjust. So I made a video
Love it.
just me saying all that, and lots of people on there saying, "What are progressive tools that you? What do you say?" Now here they are. This is
Here they
what
are.
this is
This
what you
is
do.
the podcast of the progressive tools. So now you know what to do. And you don't have to be like, wait, how would I change it up? What would I even do? You would listen to this podcast and write down all of these ideas so you have them at your next match. So this was awesome, guys. We want to hear from you when you go out and you try it in your matches. Two things you're going to try from this, and you're going to let us know. You're going to DM us on either of our pages, Rallies and Rackets or Team Foreman, or directly to League Queens Podcast. Between the two of us, we have 3 Instagram pages, which you guys should be following all 3 at Rallies and
You
Rackets,
can't
at Team
miss us.
Foreman Tennis.
You can't
We're
miss us.
You can't miss us. So go follow us, learn all about Jane and how you can go visit her at Team Foreman Tennis. Know that Rallies and Rackets, yes, we are funny. We're over here making fun of Ladies League Tennis and having a good time, but we're also an online tennis shop. Also on Rallies and Rackets, go check out our brand new city collection where you can get the cutest apparel custom designed with the city of which you are loving playing tennis in. And because you listen to our podcast, you can get a special discount. Use the code League Queens, all one word, League Queens 15 for 15% off. So shop at ralliesandраckets.com and join the party of all the things that we do, all for Ladies League Tennis. Jane, I think this was
Do it,
awesome.
ladies.
Super
Have
helpful.
fun.
All
Thanks,
right.
Kim.
We'll see you next time. Send us some ideas. Thanks for listening. Share this with your teams, because if you don't share this with your teams, then your partner isn't going to have all the knowledge of progressive formatting that you now have. So you have to share it with your teams. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have an awesome day. Thanks, guys.